Hello and welcome to this week's Gems War Guild Event Planner. I am Guardian Namek, Guild Leader of Loot and Plunder. This week's focus is the Doom Tower, where we are using blue units. And after running some numbers, here are the units you want to use. As it is requiring blue units this week, we have a large array of options, and here are some of the more noteworthy ones. The Guardians of this week, because it's color-based, are going to be Justice and Treachery. Justice, as per the normal Guardians, creates 15 gems, makes a blue and chosen. Justice gives life and attack to all other allies, boosted by frozen enemies. The other Guardian for this week is Treachery, who is a Naga, and as such as the newer Guardians, they have the Give 4 to all skills to Naga allies when matching 4 or more ways. She does some decent damage. She deals 37 damage for me. And then to 2 targets, boosted by poison enemies. And then if enemy is using blue, they get to do double damage. At the very least, if you are trying to do a Mr. Scales team, the Treachery statue will be very useful. Now, I have a nice little infographic for this week. Now, the first team we are going to look at is going to be the Mr. Scales team. There aren't very many good blue units to be using, but if you want to use stuff from the kingdom, there are some good units to be using. The best damage for the actual kingdom is the Lamia. However, if you use the Treachery statue or Guardian, they will also be able to do some really good damage. If you are wanting to use a different damage dealer, or don't want to rely on the Lamia, you can use Raven, Escabel, Royal Assassin, or, as I mentioned earlier, Treachery Guardian statue. As those will be able to do some decent damage. They aren't amazing, but they'll act as a solid other option. And then your mana chargers for this team will be the Poison Master and or the Taipan. Pretty much always you'll want to have the Poison Master. The Taipan is kind of the extra. The Lamia's main form of damage is just Charm, which eventually will mean that they can't do anything, but they get to do a good amount of damage for a very low mana cost. And then the mana people, Poison Master and Taipan. The Poison Master explodes a good chunk of the board, and then the Taipan turns brown to red, which will charge up the Lamia or Raven. So, very useful, though if you are not using the Lamia or Raven, Taipan doesn't have much of use, so you can use a different person in that place. Now, I only have one infographic set up for today, but we still have 4 more teams to cover. So the kind of the best of the best, or at least best of the Adana team, as Tesla, once more, if it's a blue or red day, Tesla gets to be used and she gets to do a lot of damage. She is one of the best units to have for just pure damage output. And if you want to make a team built around her and Adana, you can use other units. You don't have to use just Adana units, but a thematic one of Adana units. You can utilize the Limpet Bot, the Researcher, or the Weasel 300. The idea behind them is that they'll explode the board to some degree to help charge up Tesla. Now, you'll probably almost always want to have the Researcher, as she also gets to give armor, and then she explodes some gems, and that she explodes gems based off of the number of bomb gems, which is why you would want to have the Limpet Bot or the Weasel. They can both create bomb gems in some form, which should then allow the Researcher to be able to blow up more of the board, assuming they don't blow it up themselves. And then, of course, Tesla, going to be your main damage. She gets to do just an insane amount of true damage, Now, if you're wanting to use a Pridelands team, as the Shadow Hunter is an amazing damage as well. He gets to do some damage and then boosted by all enemy life, which, akin to Tesla, is a lot of damage. Now, she's not as powerful as Tesla for the very few reasons. One, she does normal damage. As she does more damage, she's gonna end up doing less damage. Because the more damaged your enemies are, the less life they have, which means the less boosted damage that the Shadow Hunter can do. But overall, she's very good to go just chop down enemies, at least as an initial like stab. Now, you'll probably want a backup damage character, which can easily be the Behemoth. While it isn't a Rakasha, the Behemoth gets to do some good AoE damage and then destroys 12 gems. So, at a 14 mana cost, it almost could theoretically pay for itself, which makes it quite efficient. Though you aren't going to be worrying about mana too much, as the Raksha Freeblood is just such a wonderful unit, deals some damage, explodes gems, boosted by its gold, and it gains gold. And you can easily explode most of the board. It's not a single type of gem, it is just general, and as such, you can very easily get almost the entire board, get a nice 32 mana. Now, if you're looking for some other mana options, maybe you want to have a second mana instead of a second damage, or you don't want to use the Raksha Freeblood for some reason, maybe you don't have it, you can go for the First Claw Mahas or the Leocorn, as First Claw gets to reduce attack and armor from enemies, and then gives mana to all other allies. Nice little thing, not the best, but nice little thing. The Leocorn gets to create 3 wild cards, and if another ally is chanted, gain an extra turn, and then enchants a random ally. So they can be very nice for the heavier cost units, where you're just like, ooh, yay, now you're enchanted, and you might get to go again. Now, another one of the best units to be using is going to be Ulf Herringen. As per usual, he gets to do true damage to 3 random enemies and gets to do some bonus damage if they are already wounded, and he can summon a minion. Though that rarely happens, but he can indeed do that. Now, if you also are needing a second damage, or you don't have Ulf because he is a legendary, you might have the Immortal Zachriel, who gets to do true heavy splash damage. So he'll be doing similar kinds of damage compared to Ulf. And also, if you have him leveled up, he gets to turn purple to barrier gems and does more damage based off of barrier gems. And also, if you match barrier gems, you get a barrier, and that's just really useful. Now, I still think Ulf is more useful in general as a more effective damage, but you can easily have both of them do a lot of good AoE damage. Once you've decided if you're going to use both of them, one of them, neither of them, you're going to need some mana, and the key one is going to be Queen Isabella, as she gets to buff an ally, minor stuff, deal some damage, give mana to all other allies. Pretty neat. It's an all-in-one kind of bundle. But if you end up using the Immortal Zachriel, there's a few other options for mana. You can be using the Vanguard, the Griffin Knight, or the Knight Errant, as they all create yellow gems in some form, which then can be used to charge up the Immortal Zachriel. So this team can be either a high-cost team or a low-cost team, depending on what you have available, because you could go with Ulf and the Queen, and then someone else kind of thing, and that requires 2 legendaries, or you could go the route of the Immortal Zachriel and then use like the Vanguard and the Griffin Knight, or the Griffin Knight and the Knight Errant. And that is a really easy thing to do. It just requires PvP to get the Immortal, which is its own trouble, but sometimes it's easier to get PvP things than to get legendaries, because there are still legendaries I don't have because RNG just says no. Now, the last team on the list is the Sea of Sorrows team. It is once again another Delve team, so fairly easy to get, as you can go down there, spend your Chaos Shards, and you most likely will get the Delve team. The key one is going to be the Deep King, as it gets to do true splash damage to 2 enemies, which is very effective. The Clam Lasher, who gets to do true splash damage to a enemy. And then the Sea Witch gets to create blue and brown gems, which will charge up the Deep King. And now I'm going to suggest using Azura instead of the 4th member, as the 4th member of the Delve team, not very good, but Azura gets to do some chaos damage and then explodes all blue gems, which is fairly effective. And you can get Azura for certain by just doing the Merlantis quest story. So that should be a very easy to get team. If you can't get anything else, you can at least get this probably fairly easily. Now, to wrap all this up, as per usual, you do not have to use just these teams or just how they are structured. I did this to be a bit thematic with my teams. Kind of kept the best 4 to their own kingdom. But you could easily do a Tesla team with the Rockshaw Free Blood. You could easily do her with Azura to explode the board. Like, there's many different options you can mix and match. These are just kind of easy template or simple template teams. And so if you think you have a good idea based off of one of these, go ahead. That's what they're there for. I hope this info was helpful for both starting and veteran players of Gems of War. If it was helpful to you, give that subscribe button a click and hit the like button, as I plan on doing these every Monday, both to help my guild and for fun. Until next week, have fun plundering.